The Honourable Sophia Mormont.
So I feel incredibly privileged having this role here. It gives me the chance to meet some amazing people and to go to some very inspiring events. So one of those events was the Regenerative Agriculture Workshop or Conference in Margaret River a few weeks ago. It was really inspiring and it gave me hope for the future. The first speaker was a gentleman named Terry McCosker. He gave a great opening speech. He spoke about soil health, about connection to country. But when he finished with his speech, he had a plant on the stage there that he'd connected to a little microphone. And through his iPhone, he allowed for us all to listen to the song of this plant. Now, that was quite a brave thing to do because it's quite out there to talk about plants communicating and things like that. Now, this plant was very aware of her role there, and the energy coming off this plant was incredibly exuberant. So he played this in front of about 300 people. Now, I've known about plant communication for quite a long time already. A lovely woman named Monica Galliano wrote a book called Thus Spoke the Plant. And she started out as a marine biologist, and on the Great Barrier Reef, she had this really interesting experience that made her decide that she needed to use her science for other things. So she went off to the Amazon, connected to the forest under the guidance of a shaman, and basically learned to speak the plant language. Now, when she came back, she designed an experiment to show that plants communicate without air, being connected through air, without being connected through water, and without being connected to the soil. And she showed that if she provided a stimulus to one plant, that she could register that in another plant that was in a different room in its own little container. She wrote a book about that, called Thus Spoke the Plant, which is a very interesting read. Now, going back to the conference and having this plant sing for us, it was really about creating an understanding for people that we are connected to the land. We are not simple individual little units running around in this planet. We are connected to nature and we need to tune into that. So this is something that First Nations people talk about quite regularly, and a lovely woman named Heidi Mippy spoke at the conference. And she explained that when you're in country and when the land is healthy, when you are connecting to that land, you can feel that in your body. You can feel the strength of the land vibrating through you. It was interesting to hear a lot of the other farmers that spoke at that same conference about regenerative agriculture, that they mix science with intuition. They listen to the land with their gut and then use that process to inform their farming practices. I think as a species we are currently very much disconnected from each other and disconnected from the planet, and that we need to focus on fostering that connection further. Now, other things I learned about regenerative agriculture was that you can basically drought-proof your farm through regenerative agriculture practices. One of the things that you can do is create greater diversity of the plant species and grasses that you have on there, and that, as a result, increases the depth of the roots, say from about 15 centimetres to 45 to 60 centimetres. So when we have a big rain, a deluge, the soil will absorb much more water. It'll go deeper into the soil and then allow for that water to be used if there is a drought. With more native grasses and wildlife and weeds on a particular patch of land, the animals that eat there have greater access to nutrients and they end up healthier. So the diversity of grasses allow for greater micronutrients to be in our cattle. This leads to less stress, reduced health issues, overall happier animals requiring less medication, to such a degree that some farmers are not needing to muse their sheep, they're not needing to use anti-parasitic medications or drenching, and bulls are, it is noted that in bulls they have a much higher sperm count, and apparently that is quite a valuable thing for farmers to be aware of. Now, there was also clear photographic evidence that the land on one side of the fence was less green than on the other side, and that the healthier land influenced cloud formation and rainfall, so it had an effect on the microclimate around that area as well. So through creating a healthier soil that is more weatherproof, with healthier animals, with less nutrient loss due to erosion, with less need of fertilisers and herbicides, with a stronger microbiome, with good mycelium, regenerative agriculture can and should absolutely play a role in creating a healthier planet and a healthier population.